Hello friends, welcome to the channel Pharma for You. Please like and subscribe and hit the bell icon for getting more updates on our upcoming videos. So today in this video we are going to cover some questions of analysis subject which is important for your Gpat exam with detailed explanation. So here we have a first question is that a mass spectrum is obtained by plotting a graph of options are. Option A is molecular weight versus peak weight. Option B is concentration versus peak height. Option C is concentration versus degree of deflection of ions, or option D is abundance of ions versus their m by e ratio. So the question is that a mass spectrum is obtained by a graph. So there is a graph between two things. So which are the two things? That the two things are that is abundance of ions versus their m by e ratio. That a mass spectrum is obtained by a plotting of graph between abundance of ions and between their m by e ratio. So here we have just explanation on this, that here that is a relative abundance and it's an m by z or e ratio, and it's a mass spectrum. It's a mass spectrum, so we just get a mass spectrum by plotting a graph between relative abundance and m by z ratio. So next question is removal of single electron from a molecule results in the formation of, option A is fragment ion, option B is metastable ion, option C is molecular ion, option D is rearrangement ion. So that removal of single electron from a molecule results in the formation of, so which is the product which is formed is, that is the molecular ion after the removal of single electron. So let's discuss with the help of explanation part that the removal of single electron from a molecule results in the formation of molecular ion. If we just there is a molecule, if we just remove one electron, so there is a formation of molecular ion. This is the molecular ion. This is the molecular ion formation. Next is in mass spectrum, the ions of the analyte are generated by different ion sources, means that these molecular ions are generated by different methods. That is, the first one is chemical ionization source or field ionization source, or desorption sources like field desorption source or matrix assisted laser desorption and or ionization sources, that is MALDI and FAB, are used for the formation of these types of molecular ions. So these are the students techniques to form molecular ions. So please write down that these are the techniques from which the molecular ions is formed. And here we have just a more descriptive explanation that students, this is the formation of molecular ion, this is the molecule, and after that there is a removal of one electron. What will the form? Molecular ion. So it's all about this question, students. Moving on the next question. Silica gel used in most of the adsorbent columns contain OH group. So it is, options are, option A is basic, option B is neutral, option C is acidic, or option D is both acidic or basic. So silica gel is used in most of the column chromatographies or chromatography as an adsorbent and contains OH group. So so we have to tell the property of the OH. It is a basic one, neutral one, or acidic or basic both. So it is acidic one. So let's discuss with the help of explanation that Silica gel used in the most of the adsorbent columns is an acidic one, and the slightly acidic is silanol group in silica gel are at the surface and extend out from the surface in the internal channels of the pore structure. Here we have more more explanation on this, that the number and topographical arrangement of the several types of OH groups determine the activity of the adsorbent. And there are three types of the hydroxyl group can be divided into three types, like this: free hydroxyl group, bound hydroxyl group, reactive hydroxyl group. So, and here we have the just different types of order, activity order, that bound, free, reactive hydroxyl group. So it's an order of OH group. Moving on the next question. The stationary phase used in the gel permeation chromatography is, options are alumina, option B is charcoal, option C is squalene, option D is styrene divinyl benzyl copolymer. So the stationary phase used in gel permeation chromatography is, and the correct answer is, styrene divinyl benzyl copolymer is used as stationary phase in gel permeation chromatography. Here we have explanation on this, that the stationary phase used in the gel permeation chromatography is styrene divinyl benzyl copolymer, and other stationary phases are copolymer like 2-hydroxylethyl methacrylate and ethylene dimethyl crylate, agarose FC, and cross-linked agarose FC and silica gel FC. So these are the stationary phase used in the gel permeation chromatography. Sometimes the question may also ask from the chromatography portions, and these types of questions ask from the analysis portion. And here we have a next question is, ion exchange capacity of a resin is dependent on, and the options are the total molecular weight of the resin, option B is the total molecular ion active group, option C is length of the ion exchange resin, or option D is solubility of the ion exchange resin. So in ion exchange capacity of a resin is dependent on, and the correct answer is, it is depend on the total number of ion active groups. Students, try to note down that the ion exchange capacity of a resin is dependent on the total number of the ion active groups. Here we have a next question is, official method for the analysis of ciprofloxacin is by, option is A potentiometry, option B is HPLC, option C is gas chromatography, and option D is known aqueous titration. So official method for the analysis of ciprofloxacin is by HPLC. That's HPLC and analysis is used for the ciprofloxacin. Here we have just explanation on this, that the official method of analysis of ciprofloxacin is HPLC, and the sample solution is substance plus 7% volume by volume H3PO4. And what is the size of column? The column is 25 by 4 mm, C14 octadecyl silane column is, and particle size is 5 to 10 micrometer. So it's all about the HPLC technique for used for the analysis of ciprofloxacin. And the mobile phase is in the ratio of 87 to 13 mixture of H3PO4 and acetonitrile. And what is the pH is? pH of mobile phase is 3. So this is all about the specification of this HPLC for this for the analysis of ciprofloxacin. And moving on, in next question is that choose the correct semi-rigid gel used for the exclusion chromatography. And the options are, option A is Sephadex, option B is gelatin, option C is cellulose, or option D is alumina. So which is the correct semi-rigid gel used for exclusion chromatography? The correct answer is Sephadex is a semi-rigid gel used for the exclusion chromatography. And here we have explanation on this, that the semi-rigid gel used for size exclusion chromatography is Sephardex. And alumina and silica gel are stationary phase for adsorption chromatography. Now the next question is that the gas chromatographic technique can be used for, option A is qualitative analysis only, option B is for quantitative analysis only, option C is both, or option D is none of the above. So the gas chromatography technique can be used for, and the correct answer is, it is used for the quantitative and qualitative analysis. Students, you just remember that gas chromatography is used for the quantitative and qualitative analysis. And now the next question is that the stationary phase in thin layer chromatography is adsorbent, option B is liquid held by between glass plate and adsorbent, option C is glass plate, option D is none of the above. So the stationary phase in their in thin layer chromatography is adsorbent. So it is act as a adsorbent. So here we have just explanation on this, that the stationary phase in TLC is adsorbent or liquid held between the particles of adsorbent, and stationary phase in TLC is adsorbent if the separation is based on the adsorption, and stationary phase in TLC is liquid held between the particles of adsorbent if the separation is based on the partition between stationary and the mobile phase. Students, try to understand these 3 points because these are very basic questions. Sometimes the question may also ask from these types of portions. And now the next and last question of this video, students. One of the detector used in gas chromatography is, and the options are, option A is bolometer, option B is thermal conductivity detector, option C is Gole detector, option D is Geiger counter. So which detector is used in the gas chromatography is, and the correct answer is, that is a thermal conductivity detector is used in gas chromatography. So students, let's learn something with explanation, that a bolometer and or Gole detector are used in IR spectroscopy, where Geiger counter is used in the detection of radioactivity, and thermal conductivity detector can be used in chromatography. So students, this is all about this video. If you are watching the first time video on our channel, so students, subscribe and hit the bell icon for getting more updates on our upcoming videos. Thanks for watching.